dream start.
The intro music didn't work, Mark, so it's going now. So it started a bit late. Welcome to another episode. My name is Dean Vassey. You can find me on X at hashtag Kangas, Instagram hashtag Kangaroos Podcast. Tonight I'm joined on a Friday evening by the birthday boy, Mark. Hello, Mark. You couldn't be with us on Monday because you hadn't watched the game yet. Thanks for coming on tonight. Happy birthday, Mark, as well. What did you do today to celebrate?
I've enjoyed my 21st. It's been that milestone birthday. I've celebrated actually in the last 2 hours with a couple of bottles of wine, mate. So you might be under pressure tonight to hold the show together.
I'll see. I'll see how I go. No, I'm sure you'll be fine, mate. So no stress with that. So got a message here. Have we got? Can I get it going?
Happy birthday!
Nice.
Yeah, very good. Anyways, we'll get back to last week. I just want to get your quick thoughts on the game last week. You obviously watched it a little bit later. Your thoughts, I guess.
Yeah, I was late. I heard the last quarter and a half on the radio on the way home. I was caddying for my son last week deep into Queensland, and then
Nice.
he actually won. So I was delayed by being able to listen to the game, which is good and bad. But I was obviously thrilled like every North supporter. The thing that excited me more than anything else was the previous week we'd sort of cracked a little bit under pressure in the last quarter, and the players were obviously determined that was not going to happen again. And that first 5 minutes of the last quarter, and by the way, my radio dropped out for that, so I didn't get to hear it. And I came back on, we were like 35 points up, so I'm going, what? That can't be right. There's a mistake. Like I kept pressing the button and trying to work out what was going on. I was in shock. But yeah, what a buzz for the supporters that were at the ground. It must have been amazing. You were there, so it must have been amazing.
Yeah. Especially that first 6 minutes of last quarter. It was just unbelievable. I hadn't seen a passage of play like that for a long time when we kicked 6 goals in the first 6 minutes. It's been a long time since that's happened, Mark. And to blow the game out halfway through last quarter where you can just relax and enjoy, been a long time.
When was the last time that's happened?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I think there was a game in that COVID game.
It must be years.
Yeah, the COVID game against Carlton where David Teague lost his job. I remember a third quarter, I think we kicked 7 or 8 goals.
Was that after the St Kilda game we won?
I couldn't even tell you, to be honest.
I can't remember. That's how long ago it is. I mean, crazy.
Yeah, it definitely was. David Noble's first year, I think it was.
Nourishment. Early nourishment.
It was. It was certainly starting to show signs. I remember Taron Thomas and Aaron Hall having big games back then, but we'll talk about now. What do you think this does for a young group like that? I mean, there's been a lot of talk about probably belief and confidence and so forth this week. What do you think it does for them?
Well, I agree with what Joe Montana said. He said they haven't just broken through; they've smashed through the barrier, and that this was just after the game, so there's a bit of emotion between David King and him. But I agreed 100% with what he said. I think it's not so much the fact they won or how much they won by anything else. It was the emotion the players had about the fit. Like it was Paul Curtis said after the game, outside of my child being born, it was the best time of my life. That 5-minute period in the start of the last quarter, he wasn't joking. He literally meant that 5-minute period was the best time of his life. So although that's obviously extreme, for a 20-year-old, 21-year-old, I mean, that sort of makes sense. But what's exciting about that is, regardless of how exaggerated that is or isn't, can you imagine if you felt like that feeling during that 5 minutes is the best moment of my life? Can you imagine how addictive that is, that you are so desperate to relive that again? And that's what I think it actually means for the playing group now. Because I imagine as supporters how desperate we are to relive that feeling for the players, it's 10 times that. They've been through hell and back. So for them to suddenly feel like, and Larky made the comment, he goes, I know what all the hype's about now. And he was sort of playing it down and being a bit sarcastic, but in a way, he was being spot on with the way the playing group would think. Anyone who thinks that North won that game and aren't going to be interested in the next game doesn't understand the way the human brain works. That the addiction they would have picked up from that win, as long with the belief that we do this is what the result is, will be massive. I think I'm not saying we're going to win in Adelaide this week. I'm just saying they will hunt that feeling again now relentlessly for the next 5 or 6 plus years. I honestly do believe that. I don't care what happens in the next 2 or 3 weeks, but the playing group will be competitive for a very long time now. That's my honest opinion.
Well, we certainly hope we can get a lot more 5-minute periods or 6-minute periods like that, because it's happened a lot to us over probably the last 4 or 5 years where we've been on the other side of it, and to finally get on the other side of it in a good way, it certainly was a really a justified moment for all the supporters that have stuck deep through the last 5 years. And as my wife would say, 5 minutes is a big W, Mark. So I think a 5-minute period is pretty good. So anyways, other news has come up during the week. What do you make of this Braden Maynard rumour that's come from Jay Clark? Now, I mean, it's not officially confirmed that no one's come out, and not too sure if it's legit or not, but apparently a 6-year deal offered to Braden Maynard for $6 million, so around $1 million a year. He's going to be 29 soon, Mark. What's the reasoning behind this, if this is actually true?
You've added an extra element to that in terms of the reasoning from the club's point of view. So from his point of view, I look at it, it's probably 300 to 400.
He'll take it
over the next 3. So by the end of this season, he might be earning. So he's being paid $700,000 a year now. I would have thought they thought he'd be worth $500,000 to $600,000 at the end of this year for the next 2 or 3 years, not going upwards of that. So potentially there's $2 or $3 million in this for him. There's about $2.5 million for him over a 6-year period difference in earnings. As a 29-year-old who's won a premiership, that's going to turn your head. Doesn't mean he'll go with North, but he would be, if you're a family member, if you're a parent of him, unless he's a lawyer or someone who's capable of earning anywhere near the sort of money he's earning now, you'd be suggesting as a premiership player at 29, you'd give this a lot of thought. And I think that's what's happened, because he's went from saying I'm about to sign to anything could happen. That's a very strange change of conversation to the media, let alone to your own club. Now, his manager could have told him to say that to try and drive the price up with Collingwood. We don't know. But at his age, where he's going to turn 29 at the end of next season, and you're talking about a 6-year deal that sets him up financially for life, I think there's a realistic chance he'll come. To the North supporters that are getting a bit upset saying he's not quite worth that, you've got to understand the money is of no consequence to us. We don't give up anything from a trade perspective. We get him for nothing. And we've got so much money in... we've hardly spent a cent. We've been front-loading for the last 9 or 10 years, basically, since the rebuild started. So we can afford to pay him this sort of money, and it won't affect us chasing anyone else or paying anyone else we want to keep. Including Luke Davies-Uniacke and a number of other players, most of which we've got signed up, like Larky and Sheasel and many others. But it won't be an issue. So anyone stressing about the money that we're going to offer him, I wouldn't be worried about it. So I think there's a very, very strong chance he'll come. Your question was about, do we need him? I think it's a very experienced player down back who's big and strong and tough. And so to me, it makes sense.
He can play as a small defender as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is probably someone we do lack.
He's going to make us a better club. I mean, 29 is quite young in terms of, we've got Darling 32. Is Parker 32, 33?
Yeah, he's 32. Yeah.
Yeah. So 29-year-old like premiership player, all Australian defender, alongside the Bulldogs, just recruit who's doing such a great job in terms of playing that quarterback role. It makes sense. I mean, to be fair, if I was Luke McDonald, I'd be stressed because that's his role that they're looking at. It's tough for him to hear that. And he played fantastic footy last week, so I'm not criticising him at all. But, anyone who makes us better, they're going to look at. And the salary cap is not an issue, so I wouldn't worry about that. We had to give up someone or give up a pick. That's a different issue. But in this instance, he's an unrestricted free agent. Absolutely, we should go for it.
No, look, I mean, if the money's there, then a player like him, this will be his last contract before
he's a big boy
done.
He's a huge unit. He's a massive unit.
Oh no, he definitely is. He's got good skills. He's a very good lockdown defender. He can rebound. Look, he's got a lot of good qualities that you want in a rebound defender.
He's the vice captain of a premiership side, basically.
No, that's right. Comes from a good culture. So, even though people might question that, I think Collingwood's had a pretty good culture for a long time now, especially under Craig McRae as well.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Yeah. Look, and it's probably at a case where the salary cap's going to keep going up and up over the years. He's going to be front-loaded. So it might be, for the first 3 years, because we've got salary cap space, it might be, $1.5 million for the first 2 or 3 years, and then it drops down after that. It was similar to Jared Pollock, who signed a long-term contract.
Please
but it was
don't.
front-loaded.
Why, Brick? Is there any need to
but I'm just sort of saying that's an example.
No, I got it. Absolutely. We are the last club that needs to panic about our salary cap. It's not an issue.
No, that's right. We've got big players that are signed, but a player that seems to be very, very close to re-signing is Luke Davies-Uniacke. We keep hearing about it, Mark. We've heard about it for the last 6 months. To me, this is the number 1A, 1B, C priority still. And it has a lot to do with how we have started. I think he's going to re-sign now, only because the future is bright, and with the clubs that are circling like Essendon and St Kilda, that I think this makes more sense than anything. Because if it is St Kilda or Essendon, then what's the point, Mark? I mean, there's more of a chance of a club like North Melbourne going to a top 4 with the young list they have, as opposed to just settling for mid-table mediocrity with Essendon or even St Kilda. I mean, St Kilda had a good win last week, but the first round they got smashed as well. They'll produce the odd upset, but outside of that, they're nothing more than an 8th to 12th team. I think Essendon are pretty similar, nothing more than 8th to 12th team with where the lists are going. So I think with what's out there, I think this makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
I totally agree with you. It's a really interesting topic you've just brought up. And we hadn't talked about this prior to coming on, but what my view is, it's really interesting now. Port Adelaide, Essendon last night, I watched that and thought North's gone past both those sides. And I've watched St Kilda, Melbourne. We've beaten Melbourne. It's suddenly I'm going, there might be 6 or 7 sides we've suddenly jumped over because of all the suffering we've been through, has brought in low draft picks, has forced the club to focus on development, all the things that you have to do if things get really close to rock bottom, including getting a coach who's won 4 premierships and can cope with not only the pressure he's been under regarding North's lack of performance over the last 2 and a bit years that he's been there, but he's had to go through the Hawthorn debacle. I only believe that he and someone with the experience of the premiership coach at Brisbane would have been able to cope with. I mean, it's quite extraordinary that Brisbane's won a flag, given what their coaches had to deal with off the field. But so I think we're in a very lucky position, and we're only really going to find out how lucky we are in the next probably 18 months to have that level of experience and bounce. So he's talked about, since the day he got to the club, he said there has to be stability at the club. There has to be a CEO that believes in what the coach is doing. There has to be a president that agrees with what the coach is doing, a board that understands what the coach is doing, a Todd Viney that sits next to the coach to protect the coach from himself and be a buffer between the board when the board wants to start complaining that things aren't happening fast enough. All these sorts of things. And to be fair, even at the end of last year when the board sort of said to him, listen, enough's enough. Stop talking about the slow progress. We want to start seeing wins next year. And I think Sonia Hood put a bit of pressure on him originally by saying, well, I want how the supporters feel about the club is how I'll judge you. And by the end of this, she basically said, next year you start winning games or it's going to be an issue. And without putting words in his mouth, because I don't know, but he actually said the board wants to start seeing results and that's fair enough. And I think that's what he's about to start delivering. I think it's been a very interesting period from that perspective, but I think the stability the club's had, the CEO hasn't changed, the president hasn't changed. Viney's been there, he's been there despite everything that happened with the Hawthorn bloody racism debacle, which really, I think that set us back by a year, to be fair.
Yeah, I think it did too, yeah.
But the amount of development coaches they've brought in who are doing a magnificent... Look at Robert Hanson Jr., look at the Constantaby already, what they're doing with him. There's clearly the development coaches are doing a great job. Finn O'Sullivan's already developed fast. Powell's gone jumped up 2 or 3 levels. So 24 and unders has been a really big thing in the last 6 months. So I think that sort of progress is very exciting. So all the pain that we've suffered, I think is better than the pain St Kilda, Essendon, Port Adelaide. We talk about the nearly clubs that nearly got up there near the top and are now stuck in a no man's land where they're trying to tell supporters, oh, we're rebuilding, we're not rebuilding. Well, that's a
mixed messages.
It's mixed messages, confusion. Right now I'm going, you know what? I'm glad we suffered the pain of a full, like a proper rebuild. We're carving off 20 players out of the list. There's almost no one left from 6 or 7 years ago, really. It's hardly anyone. Mm-hmm. It's been a nightmare, but right now I'm looking at going, as a North supporter, the next 10 years are going to be fun, like serious fun. So it's been hard, but the one thing I'm more grateful for than anything else, the draft selections have been pretty close to spot on. Not perfect, but close. And the fact that they've put the effort into bringing in the development people, which, to be honest, was being catastrophic prior to the last couple of years. We've got, as supporters now, forgetting the Melbourne win, but that's probably a sign of things to come. But stability-wise and everything else, I think we're in a really, really good position as a club.
No, we definitely are starting to see, I guess, particularly over the first couple of weeks. I think off-field we've done some really good things. I think Sonia Hood's got to take a lot of credit for that. It's just the on-field stuff. That's what you're judged on at the end of the day. People look at the on-field stuff and, base judgment on everything else that goes on.
Through this whole night, spot on. So through this whole nightmare, which it has been for most supporters, some are more vocal about that than others. And but Ben Mackay and Jason Horne-Francis, they're really the only 2 quality players that have left. And of course, you could argue neither of them are quality players right now. But really, Jason Horne-Francis wasn't invested ever. So it was probably, and the result we got out of that deal was worked out well. And you could probably say the same for Ben Mackay. We got to pick 3 out of it. So everyone else is stuck fat through an absolute nightmare period, which is a credit to the club culturally that despite all that, we haven't lost many players, to be fair.
No, we've only, like you said, we've lost a couple. Ben Mackay, we probably could have kept if we wanted to offer a huge contract.
Yeah, which would have been silly.
Which he probably wasn't worth. I mean, judging by the last couple of years, he's had some good moments, but he's had some pretty ordinary ones at Essendon. Jason Horne-Francis, well, he's having maturity issues still. I mean, you've seen him sook it up. Was it last night? I think it was for Port Adelaide. When things aren't going his way,
it's downhill scare.
He doesn't know how to handle it yet. Still,
defensive pressure is almost non-existent with him. So he plays. He wants to play to how he wants to play. That's very hard.
He's been very selfish at the moment, the way he
Yeah.
plays. Yeah,
And we've had other players in our team that are there now that are slowly moving away from that. So it's not just him. We've had our own issues with that, and that can come with top 10 draft picks as well, where they go, "What do you mean defend? I don't need to defend." So we've had a few doing, and we still have got a bit of work to do there. But I think they saw against Melbourne that it's two-way running is not a bad thing when you win.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot easier, that's for sure. Well, when you get in the football, especially in that first 6 minutes, you don't have to have two-way defending because it was just all-out attack because we're the only ones getting a hand on the ball. So that's always a bonus. But another player that's about to hit a trigger for another year, and that's Aiden Core. Not a bad result. I mean, he's 31 now or 32. Excuse me. So for him to get another year, I thought maybe there might be a couple of clubs circling that think they're in that premiership window that could use an experienced defender. I was thinking maybe Sydney Swans or something like that. But for him to get another year, it's not a bad bit of business. I don't know what the trigger would be after 2 rounds in, though, Mark.
It must be a certain amount of games over the whole period of his contract, perhaps.
You'd have to think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd think so. But I was pleased straight away as soon as I saw that. I think he's best mates with McDonald. They've been mates since they were teenagers.
Yeah.
I think when he's fit, he's always been a good player for us. It's only he's been injured a fair bit, which has hurt. But to be honest, I don't like the abuse of elite players, especially when you've got people better than us that understand it better. And that's why I got frustrated last year with the criticism of Jackson Archer and Robert Hansen Jr. Because I always see these are 20-year-old people. It's usually confidence when they're not going hard enough or things are going wrong or whatever else. It's if they're 25, 26 and they're Paddy Dow at Carlton or whatever, then it's easy to make a judgment because it's 6 or 7 years in. Things aren't likely to change. If it's 1 or 2 years in, so I'll give an example for our supporters. If Taylor Goad has a bad game at the VFL now and has 6 or 7 possessions, that does not mean he's not capable of being a superstar in 2 or 3 years' time. The hype that surrounds those sort of players and that around the club at the moment is he's 208 centimetres and he's the fastest player at the club. That's what they're excited about. They're watching him train. We're not. We don't know. So and thank God someone at the club thought Robert Hansen Jr. had talent because look what he's doing. He looked like he looked a very skillful player this time last year that had zero confidence in his ability to hit a contest hard. And that doesn't mean they're scared or gutless. It just means they don't have confidence. So now he hits the contest hard. He runs at trouble. He opens it up, and some of the stuff he did last week was just so exciting as a supporter of the footy club. And same with Jackson Archer. He used to get 2 or 3 possessions in the VFL. He went up to the AFL and he gets double that amount, and he shuts someone down. So
yeah, no, look. There's a lot to like. Going back to Robert Hansen, look, you almost showed glimpses of Cyril Rioli last week. That's how far he's come. In a space of a short amount of time. Like this time last year, he was struggling in the VFL, but he's come a long way with development. Yeah, and Taylor Goad, look, he needs more time. There's no doubt about that. There is potential. I mean, we've seen it in the intra-club match, Mark, where he almost looked like Luke Jackson in periods with his athleticism, and that's the exciting factor. Oh, Mark's left us. Oh, Mark's left. So, yeah, no, but I'll talk to myself then and talk to the audience at the moment. But with Taylor Goad, he's come a long way in the space of 12 months. I think this year he spends his time in the VFL and goes from there. And, I think last week he was pretty ordinary. He only had the 4 touches. His glimpses of almost Jacob Edwards last week. But, look, he's still got a long way to go. And that's not a bad thing. But he'll develop in the ruck forward. I think he'll develop into a forward that goes into the ruck. So, there's a lot to like there. And Jackson Archer has come a long way from his first year in the AFL system. Was a very late pick. Probably wouldn't have been picked up in the AFL if his old man wasn't Glenn Archer, but yeah, geez, he's come a long way into a good lockdown defender. So he's unfortunately out for the next couple of weeks. Anyways, hopefully Mark will come back to us soon, but we'll see how we go. Now, we go against the Flying Crows this week. Never won in Adelaide before. 11 losses in a row. Look, it's not a bad time to get a challenge when the group is up. I mean, we're playing a team that's flying. They've kicked, they kick 150 points in the round one against St Kilda or something like that, or they're averaging close to 150 points a game and kicked 161 last week. They've got a formidable forward line of Walker, Tex Walker, Darcy Fogarty, Riley Thilthorpe, who's filled out a lot over the last couple of years. He's a big unit, and they've got the smalls of Rankin, Rochelle. So Ben Keys is a very underrated player too. He's one of my favourite players, Ben Keys. So, yeah, there's a lot to like about the way they're going about it. And they're probably similar to us. There was down there for a number of years, but it looks like, the players like Hinge, Saligo, a couple of others as well, they look like they're ready to take that next step and go to that almost 5th, 6th, 7th year into the system, like we've seen Tom Powell so far for us. They're almost ready to take that next step, and they're going to be a huge challenge this week. But, while we're up and confident and got a bit of belief, that's probably not a bad time to play them. It's good to see where we're at. There's a positive in all this. So the reason I did this show tonight, I wanted to do tonight, was to go through the final team changes, but there's no team changes. So we just, there's nothing to talk about there, but that's fair enough. Will Phillips was probably on the fringes. Thanks for coming in too, Inflatable Cactus. Well, came in with a couple of comments. She said LDU will sign on Good Friday Eve, mark my words, and be nice if Core has some great later years like Scooter. Scott Thompson, I assume I think that was his nickname, wasn't it? Fingers crossed, a good 3 years left in him. Well, he's 31, 32, so probably 2 to 3 years. So, And Mark, hello, you're back. I had to run it by myself. How you going, Mark?
Sorry, buddy.
Are you back?
I got a bit.
I can't hear you, Mark.
Can you hear me now?
It is loading.
Can you hear me?
Just waiting to hear if I can hear anything from Mark. But
yes.
Going through the team anyway, so we'll see if Mark does. Oh, Mark, you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, you're back. I had to run the fort by myself. Geez, that was a hard couple of minutes there. Where did you go?
I got a bit lackadaisical about my battery. I ran out.
Of course. The old battery trick. I was just going through team changes. The reason why I wanted to do this show tonight was to go through team changes. There's no team changes, so nothing to talk about there, Mark.
There are no team changes, so the whole episode's been a disaster, basically.
You crashed. Are you still there, Mark? You might have cut out again. Oh, no, unless his battery might have died again. This is turning into a disastrous show at the moment. But let me know if you do come back, Mark. Anyways, Charlie Comben. This is an interesting one. So we'll go through the back line. I just want to go through a couple of areas there. Charlie Comben, it's going to be interesting. They've got the 3 tall forwards. So, Mark's gone again. So he won't have that luxury of playing on someone like a Kay Chandler, unless maybe Luke McDonald, and this is a big if, that could match up on a Tex Walker to free Comben up, who could play on the 6th forward. It might be Ben Keys, where he plays off him and not worries too much about what Ben Keys is doing if he's getting possessions up the ground, as long as he can stay in that back 50 and play that intercepting role. I think Adelaide's ball use is a lot smarter than Melbourne's, though. So this is going to be a big challenge, how we use Charlie Comben, because he was such a crucial factor for us last week. Midfield, and Tristan Sherry, after last week taking care of Gaunt, can he give the midfield first use like he did, particularly in that last quarter? If he can give us first use, we could put a score on. we could get some scoreboard pressure, particularly early in the game. We can quieten down the crowd who are going to be up and about. But the important thing is, if you get off to a good start, then it quiets down the crowd, and they especially Adelaide crowd, they can and will turn against their players pretty quickly. And that will go through to the players, a few boos and a few yells, and when a player does a turnover. So, midfield is going to be a crucial battle. I'd back Tristan Sherry against anyone. If he can put a number on Max Gawn, an All-Australian ruckman for the last, 3 or 4 years, then he's got to have tremendous belief that he can do a job with Riley O'Brien. He's a good ruckman in his own right, but the way Tristan Sherry's going, I think even David King said last week, on first take it might have been, he's the best ruckman in the competition. It's hard to argue with that. I was going to ask Mark this if he does come back, but who's better than... Is it Wayne Carey or Jack Darling? But look, Jack Darling's added so much. I talked with this to Jesse the other day. There's a lot to like about the way Jack Darling is just not only playing a role for the team, but coaching that forward line as well. I think Nick Larkey mentioned in each line this year, Luke Parker in midfield, Caleb Daniel in the back line, Jack Darling in the forward line. They've added so much leadership, and it's made a big difference. It's 700 games of experience out on the AFL field, and it's made a big difference. The club really identified they wanted to get experience into this club. Obviously, they're still looking to get an experience in if they want to go for a Braden Maynard type of player. I know that's going to come with a lot of conjecture, but look, at the moment you kind of have to back the club in, don't you, with how they've gone through the draft and trade period last year and got some very experienced players to help out this young group, and it seems to be gelling together at the moment. It's only 2 rounds in. We don't want to get too carried away, but Jack Darling is adding a lot to that forward line. Can Cameron Zurhaar get off the leash again, kick another 3 or 4 goals? Hopefully he's got his kicking boots on. He's looking fantastic. Costanti is adding a lot of pressure in that forward line. So, if we can get first use in that midfield, our forward efficiency has been fantastic this year from forward entries. I think Ricky Mangides mentioned that in the article last week, and we're certainly making the most of our forward 50 entries. We're playing a possession game, a lot of playing tempo football, not letting the other team control the tempo of the game. I think last week we had, I think it was all over 403 possessions last week. Only the third quarter, Melbourne got more possessions than us. We had 99, they had 108. So we're certainly trying to control the game on our terms, which is probably the best way to be. And, we had less inside 50 entries last week, 53. But what did we kick? We kicked 19 goals, 11, 30 scoring shots from 53 inside 50 entries. The ball's coming in really dangerous areas. Jack Darling's Wayne Carey, so you kick it anywhere near him, he'll bring the ball to ground. So, I sort of look at last week, and Jake Lever, who's a big intercept player. Sorry, I'll just have a look at this quickly. And he had 3 intercept marks. I can't remember him getting 1 or anything like that. And 5 intercepts all up. So, he's a big part of, one of the best intercept players in the game. So, it just shows the quality of football we're getting the ball inside 450. It's been a long time since I've seen it. Usually, like last week, Melbourne entries were really poor. It was almost like watching us there for a period of time, probably the last 3 or 4 years. But if we can get those 450 entries right, even if we have less, we can certainly put a score on. And I think this game is going to be a lot closer than I probably anticipated if you asked me a couple of weeks ago. I don't think we'll win, but I think we can get within, 3 or 4 goals, which will be, a tremendous performance. And I think it could be a game where Adelaide kick 130 and we kick 110, which is good to watch. That's what you want to. You want to watch exciting football. You want to watch offensive football. Forwards win games, defenders save them. As long as we play some good, exciting football. It'd be nice to win, even if we don't play good, exciting football, but we'll see how we go. I'll go for a match winner this week. I haven't thought this. I was going to ask Mark first, and then I was going to go with my own. But I'm going to go Luke Davies-Uniacke. I think he's going to get a big 35 touch game this week. He's going to be my match winner. He's going to kick a goal, get like 8, not 8 goal assists, maybe 4 goal assists, 12 score involvements. He's going to set us up, especially with Sherry there. His ability to get into space right now and create things from minimal space and create offense. You turn defense straight into offense so quickly. There's no better player in the competition than him right now. He'll be all Australian the way he's going. He may even win the Brownlow. If I'm getting a bit excited, I know, especially after winning one game by 10 goals. See what one win by 10 goals does. It's the expectations go through the roof. But I'm going to go Luke Davies-Uniacke as our match winner this week. Even though I've tipped us to lose, he could be the reason why we get while we win the game. Someone like that. He is a match winner in his own right. Unfortunately, Mark has not come back, so I don't know what's happened there. Look, happy birthday to Mark. I wasn't too sure if he's going to come on tonight, but I really appreciate him coming on tonight. I'm probably not far off bed, to be honest with you. I'm a bit tired. It's been a long week for some of us. So, I've had a few things on, but no, it's all been fun. And I'm actually really looking forward to the game on Sunday. The VFL play tomorrow as well, so I'm looking forward to watching them. I might even get down. If I do get down, please give us a shout out. And if you want to catch up for or a coffee or anything like that while watching the game, that'll be fantastic. So I will find out if I do go. Otherwise, I'll definitely try and watch it at some point because I'm interested to see some players. Geordie Payne, geez, he would have been nice if he kicked a point last week at least. Right at the end, it was almost break your heart, isn't it? Like, like that crush when you're 18, 19 years old and you have the courage to ask him out and they say no. That's how it felt like. It broke my heart a little bit, Geordie Payne. So that's all right. I'll back him in. You just got to keep persistent with these people. And eventually they'll say yes. Don't know where I'm going with this. Anyways, it's been tough. I'm winging it without Mark. So, I'm talking a bit of shit at the moment. So, I'll look forward to seeing Eddie Ford. Always look forward to seeing Eddie Ford. Hopefully he plays, a good game, keeps his name in the mix. Finbar Mally's been emergency for the first 3 rounds, so he's certainly in the mix. Patrick Orwood has come in with gents. It's only me, Patrick. Unfortunately, Mark, I don't know what happened. His battery died. He came back on for 10, 15 seconds, disappeared again. But look, it is his birthday. So if you want to give him a shout out and say happy birthday, go for it with him. And that's about it for me. I'm not going to mention too much else. Like I've predicted us to go down by 3 goals. I'll go 18 points, 130 to 112. Big scoring game. It should be an exciting game. And if we do win, I think LDU is going to be the match winner. We'll see how we go anyway. Thanks for coming in, Patrick. You're a bit late, he's just noticed that Mark isn't there, but he said it's all good. Thanks for coming in, Patrick. It's a bit late. I'm just about to finish up. But thanks so much for watching and listening. If you can subscribe, leave a comment. I'm starting to get a few more subscribers on YouTube, which is really exciting. I'm starting to get a few more views. The downloads are starting to come up at the moment as well with the podcast. So that's really exciting. Obviously, everyone's getting excited now, so they want to listen to some positivity. It is hard. Like, you don't want to listen when the club have been down for the last few years, and it generally can turn into a little bit of a negative podcast. What can you do? Look, we all love a club and we all want it to succeed, and it's a lot easier to do a podcast or live YouTube show, which I generally do, than when you're winning and winning well. So hopefully we're starting to turn the corner. But 1 week at a time. We'll focus on Adelaide this week. Like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff to help out the show. Really appreciate everyone that does that. It definitely helps. Anyways, that's it from me. I'll probably be back Monday to review, hopefully when he gets the Crows, but I'm not going to get too excited. But to review the game against the Crows on Sunday with Jesse. I'll see if Mark can come back on. I've had a few people DM me asking about Frank. Unfortunately, he's got a few things going on in his personal life. I won't say too much more than that. It's all good. But yeah, hopefully when things settle down over the next few weeks, he will be able to make an appearance. I had a couple of people asking about Ricky Mangides as well. Unfortunately, our schedules are a bit hard to line up. He's only he does work full time and he does his own Shimono.com. So he's only got a small frame of window to work with. And generally, I'm at work during that time. But I'll continue to work with him and we'll try and get him on at some point. Hopefully I'll be able to get Troy Makepeace on as well. So, yeah, I know a few people have asked about him, but he's very busy with shift work and so forth. But no, he's a great North Melbourne man too, Troy Makepeace. So thanks for everyone asking about those individuals. But, it's different circumstances. But on Monday, I should be back with Mark and Jesse. So hopefully to review another good performance. But anyways, that's it from me. Bye for now, and go Roos.